Hello, fashion friends and family. This is Stacy from Sobermo and Elsa Fitzgerald. I'm here on location at Belvedere Terrace Atelier. I am working on my, working on various things today, actually, and I want to take you behind the scenes so that you understand how I map out a day of work. So number one, I'm going to start with designing the Kabaya dress coat and the Dorothy dress. Then I'm going to be updating the sourcing library, and that's of the fabrics and materials that are recently purchased and or we already have on hand. Then updating the line sheet, which will have the different products that we are evaluating as to which ones will then kind of move ahead into the London Fashion Week sort of go to market activity. And then I may actually have to edit down that collection because we just can't produce all of it. It's just not effective in our timeline. And then the other thing is to prep the tech pack. We don't start with the tech pack here. We actually start with the development and then we update a tech pack. But I will gather the information as to which fabrics were finalized so that that can be readily available. And then I will work towards the London Fashion Week timeline. So September 18th, 2026, working backwards towards today's current date and all the actual things that need to be achieved in terms of deliverables, and then planning the film plan in terms of by episode for the Royal Fashion series, which is kind of aligned with the Elsa Fitzgerald Fashion House. And then we have obviously editing and posting social media and this video. Exciting! The Cartini suit is complete outside of the hand-sew buttons. So buttonholes have been added. The Daisy dress has been complete for the Baltimore version. I will say I realized that when I designed this about 10 years ago, I was at a different life stage and I wore a lot more form-fitted garments. So I think we'd actually want to maybe pull this out a little bit and maybe slightly adjust the design. I'm actually not even sure we're going to have it move forward to London Fashion Week until I feel confident with that design. And then here we have the Haworth slip, originally developed in Bali, but we're going to update it. We do have the fabric originally sourced in Bali, and then we do have a New York supplier for the silk here. So I do need to update the design. I also want to note I use a lot of handwritten things and visuals because they help me stay on track. So I do see that we've got the Cartini suit. I made notes to update that for the hand-sew buttons. I'm going to have to make the notes about opening up a bit. And then with the Kabaya dress coat, I have notes to say source fabrics, but I've landed on some fabric that I feel good about that we can begin with. So it'll be these two, which I'll speak to more on when I'm showing you the design side. And I do need to update here with Haworth where we did actually find the fabrics and now we need to get to designing. So I am falling a bit short on time. And the reason why I do this time schedule and time blocks because I so easily get distracted and can waffle on. So I've got now about 15 minutes to do these designs, and that's a little ambitious, and honestly, I'll see where I get to, but it's really important just to kind of get the creative muscles going. So here I have an original illustration inspired by the Indonesian kabaya, the kabaya garment, which I've spoken a lot to. I will buy and or borrow books and things that'll give me references. And honestly, I think sometimes it's like an energetic, emotional thing. So I think about, oh, well, what if Kate Middleton were to wear the kabaya dress coat? Because she does wear a lot of dress coats. So I'm going to flip through and look at actually her wedding dress. I think has a lot of similarities with my aesthetic. And so as we're looking at this white lace, it's not meant to be bridal. That's why we are layering it with the black to kind of shift that context. I'm also reading about Royal Courts of Fashion. This is written by Norman Hartnell. He was a part of the London couture scene, and I would love in the future to be producing some of the more exclusive Elsa Fitzgerald items there in London. All right, so let's start with the kabaya dress coat since we're speaking to that. I'm really excited to have created this croquis. Croquis is kind of the outline of the template so that you can draw on it, and this is from Dorothy Bracken, who is a graduate of the Maryland Institute College of Art. She's I would call her a fashion designer who never really fully realized her dream, and we've got some interesting things that are going to be happening with that. But I'm going to be interpreting one of her original designs, the, and I'm going to call it the Dorothy dress. And so I will utilize the Croquis to illustrate on to the paper to create a template to just kind of get my ideas out. So I'm 15 minutes over my time, and I did not get to the Dorothy dress, which I think is a good thing because we're still working out the details on that collaboration. So I decided to work on the Kabaya dress coat. So there you have it. It is trench coat-ish combined with the lace. I was referencing an image of Kate wearing a trench there, and also thinking about a trench I once had from my time at Burberry. So what I also did is I looked at the motifs on the lace that we have here, and then I add the scalloping, and then thought about maybe a scalloped collar. We'll have to see, or adding a little bit of that detail. That does create a little bit more waste when you do that, but it also, that lace can be repurposed for other fun fashion things. Just takes a little bit of creativity. I also worked on this slip. So this, and sometimes like your illustrations, they don't, I wouldn't say I'm like the best sketcher, but I do make sure that I'm trying to convey the idea clearly. So what we're going to do is we're gonna have this come up more before we had it down here on below the bust, but I want it so it's a little bit more cover, so that if you wanted to wear the slip on its own out as a dress, that would be totally fine. And then it will cut here. We have a slightly darker fabric, and honestly I think this fabric's a lot more luxe than what we were working with before. And I think we'll add a ribbon strap, a thicker ribbon strap. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be black or if we're going to have it this more bronze color. And that's that. So now we're going to move on to updating the sourcing library, which means I'll have to cut out, I'll probably see it what I get to, but I'll start with the dresses and the fabric materials I know we're going to be working with, and then adding them to the sourcing library. Hooray! So this is the part when we are then gathering all the fabrics that are going to be utilized in the collection and or leveraged for sampling. And some might be some one-off materials that I might be utilizing for different things, but I do want to not only cut them out, so have like the little template tool, and then put them into the binder, make note as to where they come from, what the minimum order quantity is, any sort of weight, material, composition, yeah, so, and also which garment that might be utilized for, and what within the garment will it be utilized for. Is it the lining? Is it an embellishment detail? You could also put trim in here, but the focus right now is just going to be on the fabrics. I still have more fabrics to clip, but they'll have to wait for another day. I've got the Hayworth slip with this lining. I've got the Kabaya suit. I did write the details. So our next step is to then go to the line sheet and then do an edit of the collection, see which one's actually going to go to London. Okay, so I moved on to taking my fashion illustration and then actually plugging it in. I know people have concerns about putting things into AI, but it's quite a helpful tool. So I've had them like lightly illustrate the concept. So I'm gonna put that into my line sheet here where I'm sort of thinking through which of the garments are going to go into the London Fashion Week 2026 showcase. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, but I think it'll work just for like image placement. So I think with AI, I've been doing my original sketches and designs, but to be clear, the illustrations only go so far, and that's the challenge when you're doing mock-ups. And even as I'm pinning, so with the lace placement, I realize I don't actually want it placed there, so I'm going to have to cut out and kind of compare between the two as to how I actually want it to work. So that's the challenge when you're trying to figure out how something might look in reality before you start doing a lot of that work. And sometimes, honestly, it is just a matter of doing the work, because as I see here, this would tend to flap down, so I might actually cut this piece out, but I don't actually like where it sits on the bust. What I did the last time I realized is I trimmed this out and then it had it placed lower. OMG, look at my desk. It looks crazy because it is crazy. But I usually just go through this like madness of pulling everything out, and then I clear the desk, and you'd be surprised as to it being pretty like spotless after. But anyway, I am going to do a lot more administrative tasks, which I don't think will be as interesting for you. So that includes working through the timelines for London Fashion Week in the lead up, working through the film production plan, and then editing this video and sharing it back out for you guys. So anyway, I really enjoyed spending the afternoon with you. I hope that you got to get some insights as to what goes on within the fashion house. And I will note, if you are interested in beginning your fashion entrepreneurial journey and or getting more knowledge around the whole process, we do have through Sobromo, the Fashion Education Incubator, the Fashion Innovation Hub membership, which will help guide you on a monthly basis. But if you'd like to learn more, check it out in the description. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.